Now, in this tutorial, we'll talk about the time complexity for the linear search. Now, we have seen how the linear search is quite a simple algorithm, and we have seen how it's easy to implement and to understand. But then now, how long does it take to find a particular item within a given list? All right. So if we were to find value, for example, value number 10, in this case, which is going to be found at index 0. So we'll take a what you call a constant time to actually achieve that. So in terms of big O notation, it will be big O of 1 rather. Okay. So because the very element that we're looking for, the target, it's actually on the very first iteration. And as such, then it's going to be a constant time. But then what if the value is at index number 1 million? All right, so it means that we'll have to loop through the array or through the list a million times, which is going to be time consuming. Okay, right, so it means that as the data increases, then the time to actually search for a particular element in the list also increases. So in mathematics, we call that linear. When something increases over or versus the input, then it means that it's linear. So the actual time it takes to complete a particular search, which is the worst time, it's going to be a big O of n in this case. So this is for the for loop, it will be big O of n, and then this one will be big O of 1 because it's just going to be a constant. This is we're just returning, so this will also just be a constant, and then we're just going to return. So if we add all these things together, at the end of the day, we'll come to arrive at big O of n. Okay, so now the downside of it is that as the let me just represent that quickly. So this is what you call a linear. Okay, so this is going to be O of n time. Okay, so as as we increase the number of elements, then the time it takes actually to complete a particular search on a list, it will also increase. So this is called a linear. This is a representation of a linear search in terms of graphs. Right. So now the only downside to this is that if we are given large number of input or data, if we are given given a billion, it means that it will take uh, a billion iterations if we were to look for the billionth element within that particular list, which is time consuming. And that is the downside of the linear search. So if we found ourselves in that situation whereby we're dealing with large amounts of data, then we need to opt for a different algorithm. And that's what we'll talk about in the next tutorial.